Welcome everyone to a new episode of the Football Baron podcast. Juventus and Real Madrid are knocked out of the Champions League, as well as Napoli and Chelsea. We also talk about the victors and some of the transfer news that is going around in the market and what could happen to some of the Premier League teams as well as some of the Bundesliga teams. Man City versus Real Madrid. I mean, the aggregate before the game was 2-1. Madrid coming to Manchester. Man City, 2 away goals. Madrid only 1 home goal. They're trying to get on that, front foot and, secure that victory to move on in the Champions League with Zidane. And I noticed a interesting statistic because they didn't have Sergio Ramos because of a suspension, I believe. It really just puts a lot of pressure on them because they often don't win without Ramos in the Champions League. And it turns out it didn't come to what it was, and they ultimately lost to Man City. Starting off with an early goal, 8 minutes in, and Rafael Varane, just a poor mistake from him, ultimately leading to Raheem Sterling slotting it in. And then later on, they were managing to come back in the game with a Karim Benzema goal, but Ederson made some key saves. And just looking at it, another poor mistake from Varane, Rafael Varane, to just really put that pressure on him. And ultimately, Manchester City deserved the win. The second half was really dominant in terms of just defensively, just keeping Real Madrid at bay and not letting them come back into the game and potentially get a comeback like some other teams in the Champions League have done in the past in the history of the Champions League. But it turns out that Real Madrid just didn't fully have what it takes. I mean, some of the key players, Eden Hazard, wasn't really fully visible on the pitch, I'd say, just not really showing fully what he was capable of, for example, when he was at Chelsea. And I think he's just had a lot of problems this season with injuries. But again, I think Manchester City deserved it. I think they were favorites. Despite the first half, the first round win at Madrid, I think that overall they're just a better team with quality players such as Kevin De Bruyne, who are just amazing. But looking at it, I think that Manchester City are truly looking like a solid team and a team that could most definitely make that Champions League final. And I think that Real Madrid will definitely come back, ideally for them, stronger next season. Really depends on the situation. And it's also just Real Madrid hasn't, been in that same dominant pattern that they were in the past, where they just won Champions League so multiple times. But I think there's a new period going on where teams such as Man City and Bayern Munich potentially winning that Champions League. Looking at the quality of their squad, they're just really strong teams right now. Manchester City is getting off a incredible form in the Premier League, scoring 5-0 in like a couple of games, and just some of their key players is really on fire. De Bruyne, Raheem Sterling getting back in there in terms of form. And I think it's going to be looking very good for them. And unfortunately for Real Madrid, some of their players just couldn't fully, click. And it turned out with front three of Manchester City really pressing them, just forcing those mistakes from Rafael Varane. And I think that not to be too harsh on him, and you should never be too harsh on a player because these mistakes happen. And ultimately, those mistakes happened from Madrid. And Manchester City forced those mistakes and capitalized on those mistakes. And good for them, and they will be moving on. Of course, the same day, another game was, of course, Juventus versus OL, Olympique Lyon, I believe. Lyon, whatever. From the French league. Impressive in Lyon just holding out, and they already had a 1-goal lead with them scoring a goal at home. And Juventus were definitely in need of, scoring those goals and getting back in there. And they started to do that, Ronaldo scoring a penalty, which wasn't really a penalty. There was a lot of weird referee decisions and VAR decisions that just did not make any sense. The penalty that was conceded I felt that was a natural position. And then Juventus conceded a penalty, which wasn't a penalty really, if you look at it objectively, because he got the ball. But it's weird, because then people confuse whether VAR was used or VAR is going to be used, and I think that's the main problem with using VAR is the technology is so inconsistent, and it's understandable why people are frustrated because those two penalties, I feel they VAR should cancel those two penalties, and it didn't happen, and I don't know if VAR is even being used, and I've heard that VAR won't be used because social distancing, but that's months ago. I don't know. The referee just made some very weird calls, and a lot of yellow cards going around. Ultimately, it didn't go Juventus' way. Lyon scored an away goal, so it was 2-1 with Juventus winning 2-1 in that game, but Lyon winning in the end with an away goal advantage. Cristiano Ronaldo, he did really well. Just solid performance from him, and you expect this from him. In Champions League, he's always stellar and just top class. And I think that ultimately, in the end, that Juventus, I wasn't really confident about Juventus winning in the first place, and or even pushing past towards Champions League semifinals or quarterfinals. I made a prediction earlier, and I just looking at Juventus' team, I don't really see them as that effective. They don't look that dominant this season. I mean, Inter was close and was challenging them pretty heavy, and other teams like Lazio, and just overall, it didn't look really that strong of a team in terms of just talent. And I think they're gonna have a tough time next season with Inter Milan. Really pushing forward with transfers and bringing in players such as Hakimi, and I think that Juventus will not have that much of an easy time in the Serie A, and they're going to even have a harder time in Champions League if they don't solve some of those core problems that they have. Like Higuain, just poor, did not convert much of the free headers that he was getting, and he didn't convert them all, and majority of them, or all of them, excuse me, because he didn't score once, and just very, very not looking good for Juventus. I don't think he should be playing, really, if I'm being honest, in terms of it. He shouldn't be playing. I don't think he's still available at this level, capable of this level, for a team like Juventus. And ultimately, in the end, just Juventus will be knocked out, and sorry, as a result, was sacked. Bayern versus Chelsea, I had zero belief that Chelsea would recover from the 0-3 aggregate loss at their home stadium. And they didn't really recover from it, and they lost in a pretty bad scoreline again. And to be fair to them, though, they did lose a lot of their key players in that FA Cup final. They lost Pulisic, they lost Azplicueta, and Jorginho, and so many other players just missing out. And they have Caballero, who isn't, at his peak, because, of course, Kepa hasn't been living up to those expectations. And ultimately, in the end, they lost 4-1 against Bayern. Lewandowski, though, absolutely incredible player. Again, a shame why they canceled the Ballon d'Or and he wasn't able to win it, because him and De Bruyne should have won it, and it's a real shame because he deserved it and so did De Bruyne, and they deserve that recognition. But in the end, he put in another top-class performance, 2 goals and an assist for Perisic in the 24th minute. Just solid performance overall from Bayern Munich. Just incredible what Hansi Flick has done to Bayern, and it really is amazing. And I think Frank Lampard probably realized in the back of his mind that, yeah, we're not going to win this, and you could see that they didn't really have enough squad depth, which turned out because I believe the 12 substitutes they were supposed to name, and they only named 11 players, and it's kind of understandable because they have been rocked with injuries, and I mean, losing Pulisic and Azplicueta specifically, a defensive leader, and it doesn't really spell well for them. But in the end, just looking at what Chelsea has and what Frank Lampard has done for his first season, I think people forget this quite often. His first season at Chelsea is impressive. It's actually incredible. Because first of all, he's secured top 4. There's a transfer ban. He's had to use a lot of youth players, and he's gone round to 16. And I think that's still pretty good with the amount of players he has at his disposal. But of course, he's bringing in more players, and I expect him to do better or at the same level in terms of what he's going to be doing next season with players such as Tammy Abraham. And Bayern absolutely looking incredible as well. I mean, just looking at this team with players like Alphonso Davies, I don't see the reason why They can't win the Champions League. First of all, I can see them winning the Champions League. I see them as favorites alongside Manchester City to win the Champions League. And second of all, I think that the players that they have, like Alphonso Davies and Lewandowski and just Manuel Neuer and just all these top class players, and Muller, who's just been incredible in the Bundesliga and really been regaining his form. I think that they're going to win the Bundesliga season again, and I think it's highly likely. And honestly, Dortmund winning. And just looking at both these teams, I think they have bright futures ahead of them. And I think that definitely they will win the Champions League in the future, or if not, this season. And on this Saturday day, we got another game at the same time, Barcelona versus Napoli. Barcelona versus Napoli. Now, there was some skepticism regarding Barcelona's chances against Napoli. And I was skeptical, very much so, against Barcelona. Because I felt that Napoli could win and defeat them. And Barcelona just solid. Very, very solid. And it's not the Barcelona we saw in those La Liga games where they were just very poor and slipping up against teams that they shouldn't be slipping up against. And even Lionel Messi was frustrated, and he said that if we continue the way that we're playing, to paraphrase him, if we continue the way that we're playing, that we aren't going to win against Napoli. And I felt that that lack of confidence would translate into a loss, and ultimately Barcelona translated that lack of confidence into a determination to win, and ultimately they did win. Clement Lenglet, 10 minutes in, scores a goal. Lionel Messi, absolutely amazing goal. Just he goes down and then he manages to get up and he just kicks it in, and it really really nice technique and great finish from him. And Luis Suarez converting a penalty, and then Lorenzo Insigne. All the majority of that action-packed goals were in that first half, and ultimately Barcelona won, as deservedly so, and in the end they will be moving on to the quarterfinals. I think that Barcelona fans particularly would have been very, very disappointed in what their team offered in La Liga, and I think they would be even more disappointed if they lost in the Champions League to Napoli, and they appeased their fans in a solid performance against Napoli. I think Napoli just had a great season. You know, they won the Italian Coppa, I'm pretty sure, and they did well against Juventus in securing that Coppa win, and they still just overall good season from them. Coppa Italia, they just secured it, and they could have gone further in the Champions League. But what really matters is just their overall performance in the season was very, very good, with some of their key players like Insigne and Mertens, and Koulibaly, who could potentially leave the club. They've been very, very key players in that role, in that success. Now, speaking about Bayern Munich and what they're doing in the Champions League, and overall what they did in the Bundesliga in the season that's ended, I think is really, really incredible what they have done under Hansi Flick. I mean, Hansi Flick has been absolutely amazing for Bayern Munich in terms of just impressive man management. Now, looking at Niko Kovac, he won the Bundesliga with Bayern. That's great and all. But if they got second place, or just overall, I think they should have sacked him earlier. Because although they won with Niko Kovac to a good degree, but not really in that in the season that just ended, in that first half where they were fourth or fifth, I believe, just very, very poor Bayern Munich. What you expect and from them, it wasn't what we got under Niko Kovac. And in the end, he did get sacked, and I believe for a good reason. And Hansi Flick as the replacement was an absolutely miracle calling for Bayern Munich fans in terms of just how incredible he has been for just Bayern Munich. Just the players love him. Thomas Müller, Lewandowski, all those players, they really do. They love him managing them, him being their manager, and I don't think we really saw that same commitment or same passion under Niko Kovac. I mean, we're seeing players like Müller who weren't really looked at for the German national team, and they were viewed as not the future. and Mueller just broke the assist record by Kevin De Bruyne when he was in the Bundesliga, and we really are seeing these players just be completely different. And I think that he is in part a reason for Bayern Munich's. Bayern Munich just absolutely on a solid winning streak. I believe that 19 of the 23 or 22 games that he took charge in the Bundesliga, they won. They won the DFB Cup, and they won the Bundesliga, and now they're going to be looking for that treble at the Champions League. And with what he's been doing with Bayern Munich in bringing that drive and commitment and really pushing a lot out of those players, I see him as a new Jurgen Klopp. Now, I'm not saying specifically new Jurgen Klopp in similar play styles or similar way they interact with players, but similar way they interact with players and how they manage. Like, they really do bring out the best in players. I think that just the man management side, if you have players who are coming out and saying that, oh, we love him, we love him, we love him, we want him here because he was an interim manager for Bayern Munich, I think that really just showcases how much the players really do like him, and they want him to stay, and they want to achieve a lot of positive things under him. I think that it speaks a lot for what he's providing. And Jurgen Klopp, one of the most amazing things about Jurgen Klopp, and one of the key things that really pushes Liverpool, is what he's able to do in terms of man management. And that really is a lot of what goes around the job of a manager. And it's really just down to some core tactics, of course, and other details like that, but also man management, and most importantly, make sure that your players are positive mentality, they have the right commitment, right determination, right attitude. And I think that Hansi Flick is a key part in that shaping of Bayern Munich. He pushed them out of that fifth place and really pushed them ahead into a solid first place win with a comfortable lead, a comfortable point gap. And I think that what we're seeing is Hansi Flick as a manager who is for the future in terms of being like Jurgen Klopp in terms of success, because of just what he's been able to give and provide in terms of again, man management and keeping the team committed and driven to push forward for solid results. Eric Garcia, we covered him as a wonder kid to watch a couple podcasts ago, and he's looking like he wants to leave Man City, and it's confirmed by Pep Guardiola that he didn't want to extend his contract because it's expiring in 2021 of next year. And what we're seeing is a future defender, a solid defender that Man City could have relied on to solve their defensive problems, but he wants to move on, and there's a lot of clubs looking for him. Specifically, the club that he's looking like he's very much interested in is Barcelona. He has a year left on his contract, and according to Pep, we've already know that he doesn't want to extend it, but Barcelona are looking to bring him in, and there's reports that the transfer fee could go around 15 to 20 million euros, and City asking for 23 million. Now, Eric Garcia, he doesn't have a lot of strong, standout physical attributes, but what he's able to do is he follows Pep's football philosophy in what he wants in a defender quite well. Ball playing ability is incredible. He's very intelligent on the pitch, and very smart with his defensive positioning, and just reads the game very well. That Eric Garcia is looking like a prime candidate for Barcelona to really solve just what the problems that they're having and how they didn't win La Liga, and just looking to potentially fill that gap. And I can understand why he could be attracted by that. And I don't really see Barcelona fully as a great decision. It could be. You never know. But Manchester City also I don't see as a great decision. Because if what Man City's, the transfer rumors going around are true, that they're going to bring in Koulibaly, ideally, just that strong center back to take charge. And they've already brought in Nathan Ake, and they already have Laporte, and Otamendi and Stones, I believe, are believed to move on. I don't see a lot of room for Eric Garcia to get that playing time in. I mean, Phil Foden suffered a lot of that, and I don't know. It depends if Eric Garcia is patient and willing to potentially mess with the future of his career in terms of minutes and development. To stay at Manchester City, a side that will win trophies, but if he wants that playing time to develop into the player that he has the potential to be, I don't know. It really depends because Eric Garcia, the type of player that he is, it won't fit into every team. It really won't. There's a few teams that fit Eric Garcia's playing style, and Manchester City is one of those. But Barcelona is a potential one of those as well. But Eric Garcia is not a physically standout player in terms of he's not over 6 foot, standout aerial ability and just strength and just overall those physical attributes that center backs often rely on. And he's more of an intelligent play out from the back kind of player. And it really is going to be an interesting decision from him in terms of where is he going to develop well and develop into the player that is developed fully into his play style, and what teams offer that chance to develop, give that playing time, as well as use his playing style well and effectively. Now we got some more news from Juventus. Juventus lost to Lyon, and disappointing from them. And Maurizio Sarri, he was hated by a good amount of Chelsea fans when he was at Chelsea, and Juventus fans are also not too keen on him. Some Juventus fans not too keen on him, and ultimately he was sacked. He is sacked from being the position of Juventus manager, and the replacement is Andre Pirlo. Really a shock and really interesting because as soon as they sacked him, hours later, they come out with Andre Pirlo as the new replacement for him. And this is going to be interesting because they found him, they replaced him real quick. They replaced him real quick with Pirlo. And a month ago, Pirlo took charge of the under-23 side for Juventus. And I'm really excited for this because he's an amazing player in Italian football and his overall world football, just Italian football legend. And what he could provide is incredible. But I think there's going to be a lot of question marks around his ability as a manager and what he can provide because he hasn't really had a managerial position that's reputable, I guess, under 23 side for a month. I mean, that's not really a lot. But I don't think we should write him off entirely just because of that experience because we've seen, for example, Frank Lampard. He's in his second year of managerial experience, I guess. He managed Derby, and now he's managing Chelsea in his second season, his first season in the Premier League, which is pretty different from the Championship, and he's been able to do some wonders at Chelsea, and I think that Pirlo could do that as well. It really depends. It really does depend on how he handles man management and just overall how he can change Juventus for the better and really get them what many fans want is a Champions League trophy, and that very much could be possible. And I saw this funny Instagram post where he's younger than Buffon, Gianluigi Buffon, who is playing for Juventus as a goalkeeper, and it really is incredible because he is now the manager. He's young, very very young for a manager, and looking like it could be a possible solution to their problems or a potential flop, and does not solve their problems. All right, Pierre Emile Hojbjerg, whatever, from Southampton. He's looking like he's going to move to Tottenham. This rumor has been swirling around for about a couple of weeks now, and Kyle Walker-Peters is believed to be in that swap deal. And a lot of media outlets such as Sky Sports, The Guardian, The Telegraph, they're saying that it's looking very likely with Tottenham paying 16.6 million euros for Hojbjerg, and Tottenham will receive 13.3 million euros for their former academy player Kyle Walker-Peters. And this is going to be interesting because I think it really is a bargain that Tottenham has gotten for a player who didn't want to extend his contract at Southampton after he went there in 2016, and they're going to let go of their academy player, who's pretty. He has some quality, and I think that in the end it's going to be a good decision for them if he lives up to what he's capable of. At Tottenham, I think it will be very, very good for Mourinho's side in terms of they really need a midfielder who can do well defensively, and I think Hojbjerg is the solution to that problem that Tottenham has. And Tottenham overall, they are in need of a rebuild, and Mourinho's looking to strengthen that squad. Not a full rebuild, I'd say, because they have some quality players in there who, like Heung-min Son and Harry Kane, and just Toby Alderweireld, just all those players who are really solid. I think that just strengthening that midfield will be really, really useful in terms of them trying to win a trophy like the FA Cup, maybe, and the Carabao Cup or anything. And because Mourinho stated that he wants to win a trophy, he wants Tottenham to win a trophy, and I think that is very much is possible under him if he gets these smart signings going in. Because let's be honest, these type of signings are really, for example, won Liverpool the Premiership. They brought in players like Wijnaldum. They brought in players like Andrew Robertson. Just very, very efficient, cheap, solid signings. Just they scouted the player, make sure that he was the best fit, and I think Tottenham, Mourinho, and the coaching staff really do believe that he will be a great fit. And ultimately, they're only paying 3.3 million euros in the end for him, with the difference from the Kyle Walker Peters deal. All right, we have a potential new Van Dijk touted by some Liverpool fans in the Dutch defender that was brought in on July 2019 to Liverpool from PEC in the Eredivisie, the Dutch League. Sepp Vandenberg, potential Van Dijk replacement for Liverpool. In terms of what he has specifically, standout attributes is that he's 18 years old. He's young. He has he has potential. Of course, 6'3". He's believed to be a great raw talent. So really, he needs to get that playing time because he only had 30 senior appearances. So because of course his age, so he doesn't have that much experience, I guess. But what the amount of experience he did get at such a young age, 30 appearances, first team appearances in the Dutch league, is still solid, but he needs that development. Now, this wonderkid to watch, I think, is more of a wonderkid who's not fully in the mainstream. I think that Sepp Vandenberg, is gonna learn a lot for Liverpool fans and, of course, the Liverpool coaching staff. Hopefully, they believe that he will come up to what they want as a strong future prospect. And he already has 4 senior appearances, but he also has some physical attributes. I mean, looking at his height, he has an aerial ability. And of course, they didn't do too well against Aston Villa when they did get those senior appearances, or for example, when the Club World Cup happened and Liverpool brought the majority of their first team over there and kept their younger under-23 side in that game. I think that a lot of what that comes down to is inexperience, and people were quick to count him off and just some of the other Liverpool youngsters for what they did. But what I think is possible is that if he keeps performing well, and I think that it's definitely a player that we should look back again in a year or two and see what he's done in his time at Liverpool. If he breaks into the squad, if he gets 10 appearances in Liverpool by age 20 or 21, then I think he's on a very, very strong course for being a first-team player. In terms of what he has available to him and the physical attributes and the players that he's surrounded. I mean, him and a lot of other Liverpool players, Liverpool Academy players and Liverpool under-23 players are in Melwood, the Liverpool training facility, being surrounded by players like Van Dijk, Wijnaldum, who are his compatriots, who really can tutor him and just raise him to be a solid player. This wonder kid, Sepp Vandenberg, is going to be really a interesting player because we got players like, for example, Greenwood. I mean, these players, they really do have a lot of potential, and I think some we rate highly more than others. I mean, there's some players who don't get highly rated, and in the end, they become world-class players. And we're gonna really. I think Sepp Vandenberg is gonna be an interesting character, and I'm really interested to see what will happen in the future for him and what he's able to produce for Liverpool. Definitely a wonder kid that's not highly rated, and highly viewed as a great future prospect, except by a few, and doesn't receive that much media coverage. But what we can see from him is going to be interesting and something definitely to watch. A wonder kid to watch. Now, thank you all for listening to that Football Baron podcast episode. Appreciate it. We did have kind of a little mini long hiatus, of course. Not a lot of football being played, but now with the Champions League coming back and the Europa League, we will be covering it. We're going to be covering the Europa League more when they get into the quarterfinals and the semifinals specifically, not when they're in those knockout rounds. But Champions League, we are definitely going to be covering all the way. And the Bundesliga and the Premier League season will be starting in September, if I am correct in that, but just a lot of football content coming back again. And if you guys can please, on whatever platform you are on, whether it's YouTube or any other podcast platform, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, please subscribe to us and give us 5 stars or a like or a follow, and it really does help us. If you aren't on the YouTube platform, please go check out our YouTube channel and subscribe to us there. There's smaller clips there, so you don't have to listen to an entire podcast. You can just listen to clips on specific topics that we talked about. And ultimately, in the end, you just get to see more consistent uploads. Usually we upload after a podcast 2 videos a day. And if you can, please go there. And if you can't, that's all right. But anyways, I'll see you guys later. Hope you all have a great day. And whatever teams you're supporting, I wish you the best. Thank you, and again, have a nice day.